So I really had to think about this for a bit because this shows how bad this is doing. Now, I'm going to link the article down below because personally, you all should know by now I really don't do news articles as videos just because I really don't feel like doing that, but I am kind of preluding this with the article, so it would help if you read the article down below that I'm going to link in the description. But apparently, internally in Microsoft, Windows 8 is being hailed as the new Vista. That is what they are calling it. I didn't expect to, make another video so soon, but I don't know, this had to be said. People have asked me what my opinion is of Windows 8, and now that Windows 9 has been announced and it's supposed to be launching next year, we're in 2014, we're already starting out with an announcement that Windows 9 is going to be coming in 2015, and we're killing off Windows XP this year, so it's a bit sad. But in case you don't know, Windows XP, after April 8th, I want to say, Microsoft will officially stop supporting it, and it is not recommended that you take a computer with XP online after that date, because hackers are going to be writing programs and releasing programs and viruses and all that are just going to be super malicious towards XP if you have it. Aside from that, Windows 8 is kind of being killed off a bit early. People are not liking Windows 8. This is not a secret. It's not a secret. It's been known since the beginning, but I just kind of wanted to put my input onto this. So I've used Windows 8 multiple times. I've tried it on my laptop. I actually tried the beta of it as well, and I actually have Windows 8.1 on my desktop, although I still like Windows 7. I did not make a video about this, well, actually I did, but I never uploaded it. But at one point, I actually imaged my Windows 7 drive, and I installed Windows 8 on it, and I used it for about an hour, because I felt like, I didn't get a good beta experience, I should get the full retail experience, and it was alright for what it was. But there were two things. One, the benefits I saw from Windows 8 coming from 7 were marginal. Like, they weren't that big, is what I'm trying to say. Marginal would be the opposite, I guess, but they really weren't that big. It wasn't worth a whole OS upgrade to me. And two, the main reason why I actually went back to 7 is because several of the things I use on Windows 7 that I rely on or that I enjoy using were simply broken or they were removed from Windows 8. I do not mind the Metro interface, actually. Now I'm a bit impartial to it, but when I used it, for some reason it worked fine on my keyboard and mouse setup. I don't know why I had a change of heart, but apparently I did. But when I used it in beta, it was terrible. Then they released Windows 8.1, and the main problem is with Windows 8 is that people don't like it because it's something so different. And honestly, I can see what Microsoft has been trying to do with this OS, which is so frustrating. First off, they took Windows 7, which is honestly one of the best operating systems, if not the best operating system out there. They took Windows 7, and then they made a bunch of tweaks on it, optimized it for solid-state drives. If you have a solid-state and you install Windows 8 on there, and you've also done the same with Windows 7, I think you can agree with me and say that with Windows 7, in order to optimally use a solid-state drive, you have to go in and tweak things for about 20-30 minutes. Windows 8, you install it on a solid-state, and that's about it. There's nothing to tweak, there's nothing to change. Things like that make Windows 8 nice. The problem is then, they said, first off, we are going to be removing the start button. I don't know why they removed the start button. Actually, I do know why, but there was no logical reason as to why they would remove the start button. The reason why they removed it and changed it to the whole Metro interface is because they're doing the same thing on the Xbox, they're doing it on Windows phones, they're doing it on, Windows RT, on the Surface tablets and such. They want to make everything uniform. The problem is they're trying to do an Apple thing, while as Windows has never been like that. Yes, Microsoft is a big corporation, and we have a certain standard of them, but that is it. We look at Mac as, the whole super friendly, bubbly, pretty looking operating system, and the problem is Windows tried to do that, and they tried to do, one login from everything. They say, oh, you have a Hotmail account? Okay, well, you know what? You can go ahead and log into your Hotmail with Windows 8 on here. It saves all of your settings. Oh, and you could use that on Zune. You could use that on the Xbox Marketplace as well. Oh, you have a tablet. You could sign in on there too, and it saves all your settings. Now, those ideas are awesome. Don't get me wrong, they're awesome. But people do not like the Metro interface. Chris Burlow has said it before, and I will, paraphrase him on this. If I am using a keyboard and mouse, I really don't want to see the Metro interface. I want my start button, I want my desktop, that's about it. If I am on Windows Phone, or the Xbox, or a Surface tablet of some kind, sure, I mean, Windows, the whole Windows 8 interface is great. The squares, yeah, bring them on, that'd be great for a touchscreen. And that's really how it is. That's how it's been. And the problem is, I feel like compatibility on Windows 7 was even better than Windows 8. While as people try and say Windows 8 has better compatibility. Other people might try and say, oh, well, not everything is going to work on Windows 8. We have to abandon some things. Those old programs you might not need. Well, I'll put it like this. If they're not needed, if Microsoft really was so dead set on keeping the past in the past, why is it that their operating systems still have compatibilities back to XP, back to Windows 98 and such? Now, granted, not all the programs will work, but that will clear up quite a few issues, and Windows 7 seems to have all of those. Now, honestly, the thing that I saw that really killed it, at the beginning and near at the end, with the beta, I can say I actually used Windows 7 when it was in a beta as well. When I used Windows 7, I was using it on a computer that wasn't even supposed to run Windows 7. It could barely even run Vista. I had it on XP at the time, for the record. And when I used it, I'm just like, wow, this is the future. This is an awesome operating system. This is pretty damn great. I don't even have a sound driver for this, and it's awesome. Granted, later on, it wasn't that usable, so I did format back to XP, but I wanted to install it just for that proof of concept. I'm pretty sure I even did a dual boot at one point with this computer. It was one of those typical crappy, school computers you would think of. I got one for really cheap at one point when I was 14 or 15. My mom gave it to me because I really wanted a crappy computer to mess around with, but that's a whole nother story. Anyways, what ended up happening with this was, at the end, many people might not know about this, but this is pretty big. Windows 8 is not getting purchased that much. And if you look at the stuff they did, that's actually quite surprising. First off, Windows 8 is on all new computers. If you go to Best Buy or Walmart, it's on all the new computers. You can't buy a computer with Windows 7 on it, brand new, unless you buy it online and specify that you want Windows 7. But the main kicker here also is they were even really friendly. I'll get to that in a bit, but they were really friendly with upgrading to Windows 8. If you don't remember, for the first few months that Windows 8 retailed, they said, hey, if you have Windows 7, you got $15, pay us $15, you can upgrade to Windows 8. Because at the time, I saw that what they were doing as well. There was a debate for a bit over why you would pay so much for Windows, and let's be honest, Windows is one of the most pirated things over any network you could think of, because it's so expensive. The Windows OS is normally about $200, if that, while as Linux is free in many different variants and flavors, and Mac OS upgrades are no more than $30 a piece. So, why would you pay nothing or $25 for an OS when you could pay $200 for an OS? That must be what Microsoft is thinking, but the average Joe does not want to pay $200 for an operating system. Let's be real here. They would rather pirate it and crack it. That's about it. And most people that had Windows 7 that was legitimate bought it with their computers. So that's what I'm saying. Many computers on the market have Windows 8. Windows 8 should have a market share right now. But even with that, one last thing I want to say about the $15 thing, I kid you not, if you had a pirated version of Windows 7, they let you upgrade to Windows 8, get a legitimate Windows 8 key for $15. That's how forgiving they were, people. If you had a pirated copy of Windows 7 that you paid nothing for, they would let you get a legitimate copy of Windows 8 for $15. I mean, that's how much they were pushing it out. And you're telling me that it's not selling that well. This article even says it hasn't even... They're predicting that Vista might have sold better, which is appalling almost. But the one thing I want to say that's really put Windows 8 down is with this whole XP upgrade, first off, Windows is killing off XP before Vista. Granted, Vista is newer, but XP is still one of the most used operating systems throughout all of the world. Many businesses use it. It works on older computers because it is so low priority on everything. It doesn't require many resources. You can put it on an old computer with a small old hard drive and a little bit of RAM, and it will run pretty close to a computer that I have now with a solid state drive in it. Granted, maybe not the same, but pretty close is what I'm trying to say. Windows XP is a great operating system, and unfortunately they're killing that off. When April comes around, it's not going to be safe to use that, and my screen's just turned off. That probably means I should wrap up this video soon, but what I'm trying to say here, recently with all of this, businesses have been tasked with a great deal. They need to upgrade their operating system to something that is supported. Businesses that, hold databases, they have important things. They have to upgrade. But all these businesses, all these universities are included too, because actually at work I'm doing this as well to all the computers. If a computer is upgradable, they upgrade it. If it can't be upgraded past XP, they don't upgrade it. But what do you think people are upgrading their computers to? Windows 7, in case you didn't know. Giant universities and corporations and small businesses alike are choosing to upgrade to the old operating system over the new operating system. That really puts it in perspective. That was pretty embarrassing for Microsoft, honestly. They're putting out this OS, they're really trying to sell it, and people aren't latching onto it. Because there's things, it's just little things. Windows users don't want change is the problem. It's not that much of a problem, but Windows works as is. You cannot tell me, you cannot convince me that the Windows 8 dev team could not make a proper start menu at least optional in it. You can't convince me. If you try and convince me, why is it that I can go online and use Start8 Dock, I can use Classic Shell, I can use several other programs that are free or very cheap and get a full working start menu? Windows 8 also tries to simplify everything because they're trying to appeal more to the mobile market, which I'll put it like this. If I have a phone, I'm going to do phone things on it. If I have a desktop, I'm going to do desktop things on it. I'm not going to try and use my phone as a desktop, and I'm not going to try and use my desktop as a phone, is what I'm trying to say. Now, I don't think I'm the smartest person here, but I'm certainly not stupid, is what I'm trying to say, and I think many other people can agree with me. That is very logical. So, Windows 9, I don't know what's going to be happening with it, but with all this backlash, I really don't know what it is, and with people who want to know what I think of Windows 8, honestly, as I said, there are some things I rely on. I don't have anything against Windows 8, but there are things I rely on with Windows 7 that I use day to day, that I still need, that are absent or do not work in Windows 8 or 8.1. I'm okay with the Metro interface. I think it works fine. Is it for everyone? No, it's not. What I don't like about Windows 8 is that they oversimplify everything. They're just trying to make everything basic and stick out, and I don't want that. Windows 7 is the perfect blend of everything. It is great for advanced users, it is great for corporations, oh my goodness, and networking on there, if you were doing custom configurations for networking, so much easier on Windows 7 compared to Windows 8. So much easier, and that is the problem. The older OS should not be easier to use than the newer OS. The newer OS is not easier to use, it is actually simplified, but simplified to the point where it is annoying and tedious and things cannot be found on it. And the main thing is, what I've told people, if you are happy with Windows 7, do not upgrade to Windows 8. Unless you really need to. There's only two people who have Windows 8 really in the world. The people who purchased a computer with Windows 8, or the people who said, I want to get Windows 8 because it's the new operating system. That's about it. Businesses aren't using Windows 8. Corporations aren't using Windows 8. Universities aren't using Windows 8. Even when we buy new computers now that have Windows pre-installed, we specify Windows 7 on there. That's my little rant on this, I guess. I don't know how long it's been, but I'm just thinking, I feel like within the depths of Microsoft headquarters up in Seattle, I feel like the Vista is kind of hailed as the V word, and it's like, that is like the worst word you can say. If you're really pissed off at someone, if someone is just being a terrible person, you call them a Vista. And, I will say Windows 8 is not nearly as bad as Windows Vista, but it's pretty bad. If internally, the people who have to use Windows 8 are calling it the new Vista. That just shows how much support they have backing it. That just shows how confident they are in their product. Anyways, this is Mr. Mario signing off. Thank you for watching, everyone, and, man, new Vista, I guess.